Hello, my gorgeous makeup loving friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I was very fortunate in that Arttitude Cosmetics very kindly gifted me their new Metamorph palette. It is very pretty, very different than anything that they have done before. But they also sent me on their brush set and their new little makeup sponge. I say little, it's actually huge. Like, look at that. Whoa. It's a monster of a thing. Anyways, I did this very simple eye look because I wanted to kind of show how versatile this is, that you don't have to go ham and do like a whole big old cut crease and blah. You could just do something very simple, very elegant. Let's not be scared of colour. If you want to try something a little bit colourful but are a bit nervous of it, that's kind of the purpose of this. I do have to say, obviously, yes, this was gifted to me in Pure, but I am also an affiliate with the brand. So keep all of that in mind. I would always advocate and say that you should check out a couple of different reviews, tutorials, etc. before you make your mind up on purchasing this. All that being said, if you want to know how I did this particular eye look and my overall first impressions, then this is the video for you. Do please keep on watching. So I initially wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with this palette. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely stunning, very pretty. But I was like, oh, what can I do that's going to be a little bit different? So I have to give you full disclosure. My lovely friend Daniela did just kind of say, do this and this. And frankly, I have no mind of my own. So I just figured, F it, let's do it. This is a really simple look, but I think it's really quite effective. So I want to kind of walk you through this. I also wanted to be able to use some of the Arttitude Cosmetics brushes, so I will be using some of them along the way, not just in the eye look, but in the general face look, and I'll let you know what I think at the end of this. I'm starting out by using the P. Louise 271. So part of why I'm doing this is that it has really nice tapered bristles and it'll help to kind of not only pack on the colour, but also help to diffuse it. And I'm going into the shade Dew. I thought this was such an interesting shade because you don't see these sort of blue toned greys that often. And I'm literally just tapping that on at the moment and I'll be diffusing it. So you do get a certain amount of colour straight on, but it does diffuse out. This is the sort of formula that I personally quite like. This is great for if you like to do your eyeshadows starting with light going to dark, because it has a much creamier formula. Do you see how it's already starting to disperse? And don't worry too much about the shape because we have makeup wipes. It's fantastic. It really helps our general life. And I love kind of doing these sort of shapes with glasses. But do you see how it kind of disperses quite easily? I love that this colour story is so different to her last few palettes, right? Rooks is a bit like me in that she really likes her jewel tones, and I mean, let's be real, they're fantastic, they're brilliant. But I had noticed kind of a couple of palettes started to kind of give you those same sort of options, like particularly, don't get me wrong, I loved the Abscission palette, but I felt like it got a little bit too close to the Maneater. But this is a properly different palette. I feel like this is so different to anything that she's done before, and I've kind of been here since the beginning, really enjoying her stuff. So I'm very excited to see this. And there's quite a bit in the collection because obviously there's the palette, but I believe there's highlighters as well. There's the brushes. There's even a little like makeup sponge. They're really fabulous. Now, I didn't get the highlighters or the kind of multi-chrome sort of pigments. That was smart, right? Rooks knows me. She knows, A, if Teresa gets pigments, she's going to forget about them. I have terrible object permanence. And frankly, she knows I have a million highlighters, so I appreciate that. She knows, however, I am a hoe for eyeshadow palettes and for brushes. So her PR package, because again, this was sent to me, was very well considered rather than sending out the whole lot, which I probably wouldn't have ended up needing, wanting, etc. Well, I'd want because I'm greedy, but it was unnecessary. I'll probably pick up some of the other bits along the way, but I just thought that was really smart. Do you see how nicely this diffuses, right? I love an easy shadow. And also, how many greys are there? It's so hard to find like a really interesting tone of a grey. I think the closest thing I can think of is, you know, the Natasha Denona Xenon palette, but that's like crazy expensive. So I'm filming this on the 30th of July. I know I've had this for a few days, but I just stuff has been going on in my own life. La 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 la, whatever. Don't feel sorry for me. Everything's grand. But I just haven't had a chance to do this, which I feel so bad about. But there you go. This is going to be available come 31st of July. I know. So get your baskets ready. Oh, it's looking nice. It's nice and easy to blend out. I do have my MAC paint pot. Is it Sync to a Whisper on? Yeah, it probably is. Anyways, that's just me nattering on. But I do think with a shade like this, you probably would need a white base. So essentially all I'm doing is just kind of fitting it in and working it around kind of the outer 2/3 of the eye and even on towards the actual lid itself. And once you've that done, then we can move on to the next step. So now I'm just using this liner brush that is part of their collection. They don't have any numbers on it. It is what it is. I'm going to do something a smidgen controversial. It's not really controversial, but I'm trying to stir up a little bit of drama here. If you guys have been watching Arttitude Cosmetics, you kind of saw that there was a little bit of an issue in terms of their factory, that they had kind of agreed on one particular shade, but the factory kind of didn't include the shade correctly. It was a lot darker than they had originally wanted, blah, blah, blah. So she put it to her customers as to what do you want to do? Do you want me to like yank out that shade and like possibly damage the palette and replace it with the actual shade that I wanted, or do you want to just say, like have me send out the additional shade? And everyone kind of went, send out the additional shade because we're greedy and we'd like an extra shadow. So this is the shadow that she was meant to have. It's very nice. I swatched it earlier, very, very creamy. And this was the shade that essentially the factory gave her. And I'm going to be mean and I'm going to use the shade that the factory gave her, Hybrid. So I'm using the Hybrid in the palette, not Hybrid the single. And do not worry about this not looking neat, etc. All I'm doing is just getting it out here. Is it necessarily going to match the other eye? Who even knows? But the most important thing is I will actually be blending it out anyways. So I'm just bringing it a little bit onto the lash line and then into here. But I mean, why not have it be a bit dramatic? I don't know why I'm speaking like that. I don't know. How are we all doing? Summer is strange, isn't it? It always puts you into a strange mood. And it puts you out of a routine, or at least puts me out of a routine. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. But again, could be worse. Could be worse, my friends. That actually looked quite nice. Just as it is, I've made it look relatively okay. Then I'm using this Cosmic Brushes CB4 and I'm not taking anything on it at the moment, but I will be going into that shade Hybrid. And all I'm doing is literally just kind of blending that in to the existing Dew shade. And it doesn't take too long to blend, I have to say, considering I went and put like a really harsh line, right? This is where you can see the difference in formula here. Like you really notice when you're swatching things, how they're gonna work. My friend Daniela told me this, right? If it has like a very dry, chalky sort of a formula, then you're best to start off with your darks and then go towards the lights. Whereas if you've more of like a creamy texture, you're good to go with like your light to dark. And you can see here, it's actually blending pretty okay. I'm not having any major issue with it. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of that shade Hybrid on the brush and I'm going to start just sweeping it in. Why not? Sort of like how you'd sweep a floor. Not that I'm a very good housekeeper, I'm actually a disaster in most ways. I kind of want to have almost like sleepy eyes, dreamy sleepy eyes. I know that depending upon where you are on this weird little planet, it might be very warm where you are, because my friend Sam has been in London and he's like, oh my god, it's so hot. And every time he's on a live on TikTok, he's like, it's so hot, and all I can think of is like, oh, just I feel so bad for him because I would not be able, like I'm too Irish. I am definitely related to potatoes, and like obviously there are people who are in America and it gets so hot and it gets so humid and I'm like, oh god, no. Like when it gets to like double digits here, like 11, 12 degrees, I'm like, Jesus, it's awful warm. Oh god, I'm going around in a t-shirt. Like I am not built for hot weather, like at all. It's probably partly because I have a lot of insulation, you know. I'm a chunky gal. Probably not the best with the whole, global warming thing, but come the cold, frozen tundra, that'll be fine. But you see how nicely this is actually blending out? Like, I've got rid of that harsh line pretty easily, and like, for me, whenever I put down a line like that, because I have crepey eyelids, because I'm old, I'm aging, I know, how dare I? Society says I'm not allowed to. But whenever I put something like that down, it can kind of get caught, and you can get like these terrible lumpy bumpy lines. But I haven't gotten that here, so I'm actually quite happy. And as you can see, hopefully, if not, oh well, that's just me being really bad at demonstrating a product. Oh well. You should see, hopefully, that it is blending quite nicely. And honest to God, lads, you could almost just leave it at that and pop like a nice little highlight in the corner. Just don't bother past that. Like, I wanted to go with something very, very simple, because sometimes when you look at a colourful palette, you can just be like, oh, I don't really know what to do. But this is literally 4 shades and you're done. Like, can't tell me that's not like fun. And I think this looks so cute, that effing shimmer. It's so pretty. But yeah, I'm just going to continue to blend. That's all that's going to be. And then we'll move on to the next step. So that is all blended out. And now I'm using essentially a pencil brush from the Arttitude collection. And I'm going into the shade Spring. And I love how this is kind of deceptive, because you kind of assume that this is a lot like brighter and almost neon in the pan. But when it gets onto the eye, it diffuses really nicely. And now you could obviously build it up so that you're getting that big pop. That is not what I wanted in this instance. I really wanted something a little bit more gentle to kind of get in there. But it's very nice. And now I'm taking another one of the Arttitude Cosmetics brushes, and I'm going back into the shade Dew, because I want to be able to blend it with that shade Spring. So I'm just kind of popping that along here. Don't worry too much. And just blend them. Just kind of going, hey, you guys hang out together. You've lots in common. And I just think like a grey and a pink always looks so pretty together. I mean, they're nice combos. Like, you can't really go too far wrong. And the brushes are nice and soft, and it diffuses it quite nicely. We'll see what they kind of wash like. Sometimes I've had it before where I've liked a brush and then I've managed to F it up when cleaning. I'm not very smart. But even here, you see how like laying on that shade Dew almost changes the brightness of that shade Spring. It makes it a lot more kind of like of a cool tone, which I think is super interesting. Now friends, this is the fun part. I'm going with this shade Cocoon. Now you don't need a lot, right? I'm literally just tapping a little bit onto the finger, and it is so beautiful, so glittery, so sparkly. It's so nice. And all I'm going to do is just pet, 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 right? Already getting that gorgeous sparkle. I want to look a little bit like wood nymphy, you know? Like, oh, what are you doing in the woods today, Teresa? Definitely not murder. More like whimsical in nature. Definitely not murder. Do you see how even just tapping it on like that? You can't talk to me right now. I'm feeling beautiful. I know, I'm terrible. Anyways, I'm just taking another Arttitude Cosmetics brush, and all I'm doing now is just sweeping it along there. Just feeling good about myself, you know? And essentially, once I've that done, all I have to do then is just get a makeup wipe and clean that up, and I'll finish the under eye with you guys. So we're back and we're doing the under eye, and I'm using the other liner brush that came as part of this set. Now, I was a little bit confused as to why there's 2 liner brushes, but it's kind of worked out for me. So, do you know what? I'm not going to question it. I just assume that Rux has the same sort of mind as me and just is a little bit frenzied. It's the only thing I can think of. So I'm using this, and I'm going back into the shade Hybrid. And my goodness, my goddamn desk chair, can't think of the word, just kept creaking there. I was like, oh my God, this sounds like it's going to try and kill me. So I am putting that around the lower lash line, but also a little bit onto the waterline. Why? Because I'm disgusting. And you can't judge me, because that's not what we do on the internet. Well, it's not what I do on the internet. I mostly just find cat videos. But hey, that's just me. That pigment. And I know she was saying this wasn't the shade that she wanted. Well, I think it's nice. I mean, I like the other shade too, so I can get why she wanted that, but still, I'm like, this has worked out for me. One extra shade, why not? And now I'm taking a Cosmic Brushes brush. They don't have this named. And I'm going into the shade Dew, which is that really interesting kind of grey blue. And I'm just kind of swishing the two of those together. I know, so complicated. It just goes to show though, sometimes you can do like a really, really simple look and it looks pretty and you don't have to worry about it. Like I love that. Like I feel like if I went out with this on, people would be like, yeah, you look nice. Not that that's why I do makeup. I do makeup for me and to gain the approval of my cats. As most normal humans would, you know? But as we all know, you can never gain the approval of a cat. Oh, that's smoking out so nicely. And yes, I do realise I am complimenting myself, but you know what? Nobody else will, so I might as well do it. And we're at the very end now. All I'm doing now is taking a liner brush from Spectrum and I'm going into the shade Spring. Why do I roll my R's like that? I don't know. Some say I didn't get enough love as a child, others say I do it for attention. Vote down below as to which option you think it actually is. Or C, none of the above. Hard to tell, but look at that. I love how you can see how bright it is there and then just how easy it is to kind of get it to blend out into something else. Like that's super interesting to me. Love that. Oh, again, just popping that there. Now you'll notice that this inner eye is a little bit different to this. Don't worry, my friends. It's makeup. We'll get there. Like it's not a big deal. Because now what I'm doing is I'm taking this Inglot 208. I haven't seen these in ages. They're so good. Teeny tiny little brush. And I am literally just very quickly blending it and adding a little bit around here too. Why not? You know, life is short. Add a little bit of fun pops of colour. Ugh, I like this. And then you just know when you put a lash on with this, it's so easy. I love a nice easy look because I'm old and I'm tired. But yeah, I like the brushes so far. We'll see what the story is like. Will you still see me using these in the next while? That's always the big indication, right? So I'm going to feck off now, do the rest of my makeup. I'm going to probably use their little foundation brush. That's not the foundation brush. There we go. That's a big chunk. I have noticed Rooks tends to like these. She likes these sorts of shapes. Not against it. I think that'll be interesting. So we'll come back, we'll see what it all looks like together, and yeah, that's it. It always looks better when everything is all put together. Let's talk about maybe the brushes first, right? So I'm going to start off by talking about the foundation brush. I really liked this. This is the exact sort of brush shape that I personally quite like. It gives really good full coverage. The foundation that I'm using is my favourite. It's the Dior one. I know, there you go. I liked this. I also use the sponge because I just find that kind of like mixing up a brush and a sponge just gives me not just the coverage but also kind of the slightly more airbrushed sort of a look. This, I really liked the shape of this. I used this to diffuse like a little bit of highlight, but I also have to say that I did use the pink shade Spring as a blush as well. I went very light because I was like, let's just have the eyes be the major focus because I think for a lot of people who are just starting on colour, let's just ease them in. The brushes seem pretty good. I didn't use all of them, let's be real. These are the ones that I haven't actually used. Will I use them? Yeah, I can actually see there's a few shapes here that I would personally quite enjoy. But I'm going to zoom you in now so you can see the eye look. And it is just, it's so simple. God, I kind of love doing a simple look these days. And look, the earrings match. Look at that. Obviously, it looks a hell of a lot better once I've taken my glasses off and you can see this a little bit better. Don't mind the indentations. We don't talk about that over here. It's so simple. I mean, literally 4 shadows. But I love that this palette can do that for you, that you can do a really nice, simple but elevated look, or at least I think it's elevated. Thanks, Daniela, for telling me what to do. You guys know that I like to kind of change around the lighting so you can see things like the sparkles and the shimmers a little bit better. So right now I just have one ring light on, and I'm hoping, once I take my glasses off in particular, that you can see some of these sparkles a little bit better. Now, bearing in mind, I didn't like ham this on. It's really like lightly diffused. I think it's pretty spectacular, all things considered. Now, I don't necessarily want to review the palette simply because I've just used 4 shades today. That's not going to give you anywhere near a solid indication as to what this looks like. I will say I swatched it. The kind of matte formula is the sort of formula that I like. It's very creamy, very buttery. Foodie? I don't know. I personally like that, but you know, I'm going to have to play with this just a smidgen more to see what I think. I have said before, I'm an affiliate. My code Teresa10 will get you money off. I'll get a commission, all that sort of jazz. I want to talk about the sponge a little bit, just for a second. It reminds me a little bit of, you know, the cocoa sponges that were like all over the place and beautiful, bouncy. I personally don't like this sort of a shape. That's just a me thing, because I'm like, how do I use this? And like, don't get me wrong, I have a fat face, so I need like a big sponge, but at the same time it does feel a little bit whatever. Brushes are really nice. I don't know what the price range of them are. I'm also, again, not going to tell you, oh my god, you need to go off and get these, because I have yet to kind of wash them, see what I think. However, anything that I have had from Arttitude in the past, and I don't think she's changed like where she gets her brushes from, they have worn very well, and I've used them multiple times, so let's hope that's the case. The palette, sorry, I'm just like bouncing back and forward from things. The palette itself, I really love that she went for such a different colour story this time around. This is not like anything that she's done before. Do I appreciate that she has a pop of green in there? Yes, I do. Because I'm ridiculous. I think this is done very well. And even though she had that shade that she didn't necessarily want, she wanted this one instead, I still feel like it kind of works as it is. It's just really nice. You have like some nice lights, etc. I'm looking forward to play with this more. Let me know if you want some more videos on this, trying out a few more things, because I'm kind of sick of doing like, here's a review of this thing that I've tried this time. It just feels a bit disingenuous. Let's maybe not do that. Anyways, this will be available from the 31st of July at 6 p.m. along with their highlighters, some pigments, etc. Choose wisely, or, you know, don't get anything at all. It's all grand. Let's not lose our minds over this. I personally think this is really pretty, and I'm very grateful that it was gifted to me. Would I have gotten this myself if it wasn't gifted? Yes, simply because A, I'm a little bit of a palette hoe and a collector, and B, I really enjoy Arttitude Cosmetics. I love supporting them, and I do feel like this is the most interesting colour story that they have done in a while, so like, for me, that is a big woohoo. But anyways, my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell, and do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case, just wrap it up. Don't be gross. That's it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.